The Argos shooting the lights out here in the first half. Doug Flutie with 4 touchdown passes. Toronto in front of Calgary 34-6 at the half. Well, Don Matthews is just 1 half away from realizing a lifetime achievement of becoming the most successful coach ever in the CFL. The last 2 years he's won 2 straight Grey Cups on 2 different teams, Baltimore and Toronto. In fact, since 1994 he's won 80% of his games, and now he can put his mark on this league by passing Frank Clare, breaking his record of 147 wins. Frank Clare, they called him the Professor, the Argo and later Rough Rider coach who sometimes forgot his own players' names but knew the game inside out. 7 Grey Cup titles as a coach and GM. The glory years in Ottawa, back-to-back Grey Cups, the climax of his association with the great quarterback, Russ Jackson.
He put in formations and offensive ideas that are really today's ideas, but nobody looks back and says, well, we did them in Ottawa.
These days, Frank Clare and his wife Pat live in Sarasota, Florida. Nearly 30 years since the glory years, and we had a chance to talk with Frank here in the booth earlier today. Frank, this is a big occasion in the CFL. I'm wondering what's going through your mind as your record is on the verge of being broken?
Well, actually, I've thought about it now, but only recently, about 4 or 5 months ago. I never thought about it hardly at all. Nobody mentioned it, but it's a big thing in a way because he's done a great job of coaching, and he's won more games.
Did you think anybody would ever get this close?
Well, it's hard to tell. You know, some coaches run out of steam and they go down to the States and different places. It's hard to know what's going to happen.
Now listen, it's been nearly 30 years since you coached in this league. How has the game changed?
Well, it's a passing game today, and it's mainly passing and draw plays. That's set off the play. And it's very, the running game where I had Russ Jackson, our great bunch up in Ottawa, it was a different type style game.
Now, they called you the Professor in Ottawa and in Toronto. Taken a lot of shots over the years about forgetting players' names, but I love the story about the time you went for a loaf of bread and ended up somewhere else.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but I think the big thing it could have been because my wife didn't want me to go to Toronto, and I told her I was going around somewhere. But anyway, I ended up in Toronto, but I don't know if that loaf of bread was true or not.
She ended up seeing you on TV. What, scouting the game?
Scouting the game, that's right.
What about the game itself? I often wonder, the stadium that bears your name in Ottawa being silent this year, and what you think of that?
I think that's one of the most important things happened to me in my life, because people who have that much admiration for myself to name the stadium is quite something.
It'd be nice to get a team back there, too.
It certainly would. I hope they do it next year.
Well, Frank, it's great meeting you. I grew up in Ottawa, and as a kid, I wore the R on my football helmet, and congratulations on everything you've achieved in this league.
Thank you.
Frank Clare watching Pinball Clemens and his 2 touchdowns today, likely thinking of another small running back who did the same thing in the 60s, and I'm speaking of Ronnie Stewart. At the half, the Argos lead big over the Stampeders.